If there's one animal that can strike terror in us, it's surely the shark. So brace yourself for an intrepid journey into their domain, closer than ever before to witness spectacular shark behavior. Drift with giants and meet some sharks rarely filmed before. Sharks are often portrayed as mindless killers, little more than swimming robots, driven by a primitive, pre-programmed brain.
But are they in fact more intelligent than we think? To find out, we're going to introduce some sharks to a shark of our own. Meet Robo Shark.
Come on, come on.
Robo Shark is at the cutting edge of wildlife filmmaking. He's a free-swimming animatronic shark controlled with underwater signals which he picks up with a receiver on his back there. Designed to look just like a flesh and blood shark, his mission is to go among wild sharks and discreetly film their behavior using this camera hidden here in his nose. Off we go.
Robo Shark is a brave pioneer and a unique experiment. He's going to get closer to the sharp end than any diver dares. What real sharks will make of him, we've no idea. But their reactions may provide new insight into how a shark's mind really works.
So, what will Robo Shark reveal about the intelligence of these fearsome predators? Will they be smart enough to blow his cover? And if it turns out that sharks are more intelligent than we thought, will that defuse our fear? Or is a smart shark the most terrifying shark of all? Let's follow Robo Shark to find out.
Robo Shark's first assignment takes him to a unique corner of the South Pacific, Bikini Atoll. This lagoon is a graveyard of scuttled warships, evidence of an explosive past. In the late 1940s, the United States tested nuclear bombs here, and the area is still contaminated. Fishing has been banned for more than 50 years. This has created a unique shark paradise. It's Robo Shark's first test in the field. So, will he sink or swim? Here, grey reef sharks travel in large, aggressive hordes. So, how will they react? Their repeated charges and displays of their pectoral fins show they feel agitated. But if they thought this really was a larger shark, they'd keep their distance. Instead, they nose bump to investigate him. So these sharks are too smart to be fooled by Robo Shark. But other fish like this remora aren't. Remoras shadow sharks, hoping to hoover up their leftovers. The question is, what makes sharks more intelligent than many other fish? We begin our investigation into shark intelligence by looking at the basic elements that constitute a shark. Out of the over 450 shark species, reef sharks are the classic prototype that's the basis of Robo Shark's design. A shark is perfectly streamlined to cut through water. It's covered in tiny interlocking plates called denticles. Each one is ridged to break down water turbulence and minimize drag. So sharks swim smoothly and in silence. But there's much more to sharks than meets the eye. They're armed with an astonishing array of supercharged senses. They can detect a single drop of blood in 25 million drops of seawater. They hear low-frequency sounds from more than a mile around through their inner ears. They have a line of pressure detectors down each flank that detect movement and give the shark a 3D map of its surroundings. In low light, shark eyes are 10 times more sensitive than ours. And sharks can detect the electrical impulses that are generated by all living things, down to just 5 billionths of a volt. So it's hardly surprising that sharks are among the most successful predators in the ocean. But are hunting sharks driven by simple instinct, pre-programmed to respond predictably to cues from fleeing fish? Or are they capable of more than that? For his next mission, Robo Shark meets one shark that is thought to be far more intelligent. We begin exploring shark intelligence by looking at brain size. Some sharks have relatively large brains, which in terms of body weight ratio are on a par with those of dogs. A whale has a brain 45 centimeters long. Its structure is quite different to a mammal's brain, and we're only just beginning to unravel its complexity. It was believed that 70% of it was dedicated entirely to smell. But new research has revealed a highly developed cerebrum, thought to be responsible for learning, memory, and thought. So, great whites do have the brain power to be smart. And this one's curiosity goes beyond instinct. It's the starting point of exploring and learning. Amazingly, she's wary of Robo Shark. She seems smart enough to know that some encounters can be dangerous. These are giant petrels off southern Australia, another novelty to an inexperienced young shark. The shark is inquisitive and goes in to investigate. These bird brains seem unaware of any danger. its curiosity turns into feeding mode. But its first attempts are frustrating. Its own bow wave pushes the petrels out of harm's way. But over the next 2 days, the shark modifies its strategy. Now it rushes upwards at a steeper angle. By learning through trial and error, the shark succeeds. In fact, sharks can learn 80 times faster than cats. But can they remember what they've learned? Robo sharks in Belize to investigate the memory of the largest fish in the sea. A kilometre down, giants are on their way. Whale sharks. They migrate thousands of kilometers along this coastline at huge depths. Down here, the immense pressure would crush Robo shark. But our spy has a tip-off that the whale sharks are about to come up for a rendezvous. And once again, they're right on cue. At the same time each year, they gather at a specific offshore reef. More whale sharks arrive, all young males, around 25 of them. But why come to the surface now? They're drawn to a spectacular feast, hosted by snappers. Once a year, they come together, and in late afternoon, as the full moon rises, they start to spawn. The snapper's reproductive frenzy provides a high-protein blowout, one of the highlights of the whale shark's year. The whale shark is a giant filter feeder. Its massive throat and gill muscles create a suction pump that sieves spawn-filled water over the filter plates in its gills. For a week, the sharks gorge on this short-lived food source. Unlike salmon, for example, which return instinctively to their birthplace following chemical clues, somehow these sharks learn where the snapper are and then remember to come back to this exact location each year. the snapper are finally spent and return to the reef. And the satiated sharks descend back to the depths to continue their migration. So, if sharks can turn up for one annual event, could they remember several such appointments throughout the year? Do they have a more complicated, long-term memory? Robo Shark's embarking on his riskiest assignment yet, gate-crashing a gathering of one of the world's most predatory sharks. The turtle's shell cracks like a china plate. Our spy has swum with one of the ocean's most deadly sharks. It seems that sharks may have a timetable of banquets that are some thousands of kilometers apart, from turtle rookeries to monk seal pups and albatross nesting sites in Hawaii. Here, tiger sharks arrive on cue for the 4-week period when the chicks begin their maiden flights, which are often their first and last. How do sharks navigate between these widely spaced meals? Could they use memory maps? These maps probably include visual landmarks. They may also be directed by the corridors of scent that crisscross oceans. They may even use their electroreceptors to pick up the Earth's magnetic field. Like a GPS, could this help them to compute exactly where they are? As yet, we just don't know how exactly they navigate. So, sharks track down precisely timed feeding opportunities, but they also keep daily appointments for different reasons. At dawn, this snub-nosed monster emerges from the depths. It's the pelagic thresher shark, named after its long, threshing tail. In the Philippines, it leaves the deep-sea trench each morning to explore the shallow coral reefs. Much of this reef has been dynamited by fishermen and is dead. The sharks search for the last few outcrops of living coral. But it isn't food that draws the threshers here. They're visiting the cleaner wrasse, who spend much of their lives grooming a range of other fish. The 3-meter-long thresher lowers its pectoral fins and slowly circles. Cleaner wrasse catch up and start work picking parasites from the shark's skin. Resident reef fish also visit these cleaning stations when they happen to pass by. But the threshers make a long, deliberate trip to come back here every morning, which seems to be evidence of organized thought. Here in Western Australia, bronze whalers do appear to work together to herd shoals of anchovies inshore. But whether this is really teamwork or just competition is still hard to say. To find out more, let's see these social sharks at work during the highlight of their feeding calendar. This time, Robo Shark is braving stormy waters to report back on one of the most dramatic natural events on Earth. Each June, millions of sardines head north up the coast of South Africa, eating the plankton nourished by a seasonal current of nutrient-rich cold water. The sardine run creates an immense slick up to 30 kilometers long. Bronze whalers are attracted in their thousands with a multitude of other predators, including common dolphins. These sophisticated mammals are known to hunt together and to use complex communication. The dolphins buzz Robo Shark with ultrasound. But it seems he's just a distraction and they move on. Following close behind are the bronze whaler sharks. Sharks are believed to eavesdrop on the dolphins' calls and shadow them to the feeding grounds. Once there, the dolphins start to chase the sardines to the surface, driving them together into a bait ball. Another diner joins the fray, a brood. The sharks seem to stick close enough together to create a moving wall, which may help them to trap the sardines. They do appear to hunt cooperatively. So, as well as a phenomenal range of super-tuned senses, it seems that sharks have some degree of intelligence. But how smart are so-called man-eaters? Robo Shark's next set of missions is to meet them and find out. First on the hit list is the bull shark, #1 shark man-eater. Bull sharks live in shallow seas and estuaries across the tropics, where they come into contact with humans more than any other large, powerful shark. What makes them extra dangerous is that they can also survive in fresh water. Robo Shark is on a reconnaissance in Africa. He's traveling upriver to try and make contact. In the murky water, bull sharks are able to navigate because they have acute hearing and sense of smell. They're likely to spot Robo Shark long before he sees them. And in this world, sharks have deadly competitors. Nile crocodiles. So far, the bull sharks are proving elusive, but they're more active at night. Robo shark has entered enemy territory and stumbles on a carcass. Crocodile kill. There are documented fights between bull sharks and crocodiles, sometimes to the death. This time, our hero had to admit defeat. But he's not beaten yet. There is another place where contact with bull sharks is guaranteed. After a few repairs, Robo Shark is back in business. At last. But what will this quarter-ton tough guy make of our fiberglass weakling? The bull sharks seem unmoved by our spy's presence. Again, perhaps they're not fooled. Part of what makes these big, powerful sharks so terrifying is that they're comfortable in very shallow water where most attacks take place. Here, they've learnt to turn up at the right time in the right place to get food. Gary Adkisson has been feeding bull sharks for more than 10 years. He knows them individually and believes they have their own personalities and that they recognize him too. The sharks bite and jostle each other to get to the food. Perhaps they see us as competitors too. Experts also think most shark attacks are accidental, perhaps in murky water, or warning when a swimmer blunders into the shark's personal space. Winded, Robo Shark calls time out. But swimmers in the shallows aren't the only ones at risk from big sharks. Around 40% of shark victims are surfers. In temperate zones, they share the offshore waters with perhaps the most notorious of all sharks, the great white. In the vast majority of cases, the shark ignores the surfer, but there's always going to be the odd occasion when it doesn't. Since whites have such acute eyesight, many researchers now doubt the old theory that they mistake surfers for seals. The rare attacks are now attributed not to predation, but to that first marker of intelligence, curiosity. One theory is that inquisitive great whites are tempted to give chase much as a dog will chase a passing car. Other sharks approach their victim horizontally. This ability to modify and specialize their attack strategy is clear proof of great whites' intelligence. But they can still lose their fresh kill. Great whites appear to travel in loose groups of 5 or 6, and they're quite happy to gazump another's prey. But there does seem to be a kind of social pecking order. Jaw gaping and pectoral fin lowering are well-documented signs of dominance, a way of enforcing the social hierarchy. But there's one shark in these waters that definitely doesn't fit in. Robo shark is way out of his depth. He's in the danger zone. The great white's curiosity has been aroused by his strange signals. And just as with surfers, this soon leads to a more jaws-on investigation. Robo shark has paid the price for spying on the biggest of the predatory sharks and perhaps the smartest one of all. He's given us new insights into shark behavior. Researchers are writing a scientific paper on his shark encounters. But for now, his work is done. Robo shark was only a machine, but we're now killing flesh and blood sharks in unprecedented numbers. At least 100 million die each year, either caught accidentally or slaughtered deliberately to be made into shark fin soup. 75% of threshers are now gone. Experts fear the worst for many shark species. The shark's success has always been accredited to their superb design, but it's down to brain power too. Perhaps a smart shark would be easier for us to care about, but if we push them to extinction, we'll never know how smart sharks really are.